Some NBA players don't just jump high. They might as well have a boarding pass. I mean, have you ever seen a guy leap so high you start questioning physics, gravity, and your own athleticism? That's the kind of bounce we're talking about. These players you're about to witness turn the court into their personal launchpad. From Michael Jordan's legendary airtime to Ja Morant nearly jumping over Wembley's existence, let's see who holds the record for the highest vertical jumps. And if we're talking about players who made gravity look optional, there's one place to start. The man whose hang time was ridiculous, people thought he had a second jump while still in the air. Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan didn't just have a vertical, he had hang time sponsorships. At his peak, Jordan's 46-inch vertical wasn't just about getting off the ground. It was about how long he stayed in the air. I mean, there's a reason people joke that MJ could jump, take a nap, and still land before his defender did. And if you need proof, here's one moment that defines his vertical move than any other: the free throw line dunk.
That's gotta be a 50 ball. He took off.
So yeah, you've seen it. The stretched out arm, the effortless glide, the moment it looked like Jordan might not actually come down. See, dunking from the free throw line is already ridiculous, but MJ made it look like a casual jog to the rim. And it wasn't about how high he jumped, it was about how he made the impossible look routine. But while Jordan defied gravity with his 46 inches, Darrell completely ignored its existence.
It's all right. Batted ahead by Bergman. Here we go.
Little difference. How about another angle? There you see it. The doctor of dunk. Little different than the St. John's game. He was looking that one right down.
Darrell Griffith made jumping high a controlled experiment in defying gravity. You don't get a nickname like Dr. Dunkenstein unless you're out there conducting high-flying basketball experiments nightly. And with a 48-inch vertical, Griffith wasn't just dunking. He was studying the rim from angles most players never got to see. He didn't need a clear lane or a perfect setup. Just give him the ball a split second and watch him launch like he had somewhere better to be. Griffith's bounce was so exceptional because it came at a time when most players weren't considering playing above the rim. This was the early 80s, before Vince Carter or even Zach LaVine, when dunking was still a raw, untapped weapon. And Griffith turned it into an art form. But if Griffith were the artist, then Shannon Brown would have been the critic. Except his feedback weren't verbal. It was sending shots straight back to the sender.
Fell asleep there. Brown gives it up. And down up there.
A 45-inch vertical meant that when Brown took off, there was a good chance he was meeting the ball somewhere above the backboard. So what this means is that if a defender thought they had a clean look at the rim, Brown shut that down immediately, often in ways that shocked the entire arenas. And if you need proof, take a look at this block. A moment so ridiculous that even the bench went crazy. Brown exploded off the ground so fast it was like he had a trampoline hidden in his sneakers. The shooter probably thought he had a wide open look until Brown materialized out of nowhere to erase it. Poof! But here's the thing, his verticals weren't just for defense. Shannon Brown could throw down some of the most explosive in-game dunks you'll ever see. Unlike most high flyers, Brown didn't just rely on fast breaks to show off his bounce. If he caught the ball near the rim, it didn't matter who was in front of him. Somebody was getting put on the poster. Shannon Brown wasn't just blocking shots, but serving mid-air eviction notices. Ja Morant, on the other hand, he had a completely different business model, turning defenders into unpaid extras in his personal dunk contest.
Ja in the late game situation.
At this point, somebody needs to check if Ja Morant actually has a vertical limit, because his 44 inches seems like a downplay. Imagine you're 7'4" like Victor Wembanyama. The last thing you would expect is getting dunked on by a guy nearly a foot and a half shorter. But Ja doesn't care who's in front of him. If there's a rim in sight, he's trying to take someone with him. And that's precisely what happened when Ja Morant caught Wemby lacking. Ja cocked back for what might be the nastiest poster of the season, and Wemby was just there, arms up, trying to contest it, probably thinking his 8-foot wingspan would save him, but Ja had other plans. He exploded off the ground, met Wemby at the peak, and threw it down so hard it felt like there was a glitch in the basketball matrix. I mean, for Ja, it was just another day of floating through the air and turning defenders into background extras. Speaking of defenders, Zion Williamson was built like an NFL linebacker, but with the hops of a high-flying guard. The only difference was he seemed to respect gravity a little less. A guy built like a defensive lineman isn't supposed to be floating above the rim, catching lobes like it's nothing, and coming down with so much force that it feels like he might break the court. And yet, here we are. Zion's 45-inch vertical is the ultimate glitch. Most players with this kind of bounce are very explosive guards. Guys like Ja Morant, Zach LaVine, and Vince Carter. But Zion looks like he could moonlight as an NFL tight end, bulldoze through the defensive line, and then still outjump the best leapers in the NBA.
Looking the lob, Zion's there. Okay. Bells by Dre.
Defense by Larry Nance. Defense to offense. Throw it to flag. Go get it, young man.
It makes no sense because guys who weigh 280 pounds don't even attempt dunks like this. But Zion doesn't just try them. He makes them look effortless. When he takes off, it's already over. There's no contesting it, and there's no getting in the way. There's only accepting your fate. If Ja Morant defies gravity, then Zion disrespects it. But if we're talking about record-breaking bounce, only one guy officially holds the crown: Keon Johnson. This guy showed up to the NBA Combine and broke the all-time vertical jump record. Most rookies go to the NBA Combine to impress scouts with their shooting, speed, or defense. Keon Johnson decided to break the entire vertical jump record, a 48-inch record. That's not just jumping high, that's jumping out of reality. A 48-inch vertical means Keon could clear an average kitchen countertop with his feet. He's basically a real-life video game character with maxed-out jumping stats. And he wasn't just jumping high. He was doing it with explosiveness that made NBA teams do a double take. His pre-draft workout looked less like a basketball drill and more like a dunk contest with no rim height restrictions. To put it this way, most guys have bounce, and some make history with it. But there's Keon, who owns the highest officially recorded vertical in NBA history. And sure, breaking the record is cool, but turning ridiculous bounce into art form? That's a whole different level. Although, not for Zach LaVine.
Who's got numbers?
Right into the hands of White. The lob for LaVine!
Go get it, Flight 8. Go get it. What a pass. Watch this play 2-on-1, and this is what you want. You want to get out in transition.
A 46-inch vertical puts him right at the top of NBA history, but how he uses it makes him different. Most players with this kind of bounce are either pure power dunkers or finesse finishers. LaVine is both. He can throw down free throw line dunks in game like it's nothing and pull off dunk contest level creativity mid-fast break. And he makes reverse windmills and behind the leg dunks look effortless. I mean, his vertical is so smooth and controlled that sometimes it looks like he's floating.
Okay, okay, Zach said. Okay.
Of course, there was 2016, the greatest dunk contest battle of all time. LaVine versus Aaron Gordon. Zach didn't just win the contest with his vertical, he redefined what was possible mid-air. A 46-inch vertical is already rare, but a 46-inch vertical mixed with Zach LaVine's fluidity, hang time, and creativity, that's something we might never see again. And there you have it. the most intense verticals and gravity-defying jumps the NBA has ever seen. Which moment had you jumping off your seat? Drop your pick in the comments because this debate is just getting started. And if you thought these plays were electrifying, just wait until you see the NBA's loudest, most hyped crowd reactions ever. Click on your screen now because this one is about to get loud. Literally.